Yes. All right. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, what we're going to be doing is focusing on what are known, or two things known as dependent and independent clauses. Just a reminder, a clause is simply a simple sentence comprised of a subject and a verb. A dependent clause is one that requires or depends on another clause to complete it. Usually, it's two clauses linked together using what's called a subordinating conjunction, like because, although, and I have more examples. As, because, until, when, and while. And of course, there are others. But generally speaking, a dependent clause, again, is dependent on another in order to form what's called a complete thought, as opposed to an independent clause, which is one sentence or one clause, we would say, that can stand on its own. It exists fine. It's a complete thought. All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at four examples. In the first example, and again, I hope, no, it's very, see if we can get it to focus. Yes, we can. All right, let me step out of the way. So for this one, we have when I go to the library. Okay, well, when I go to the library. Here we've got our subject, I've got my action, so SVO, right? Subject, verb, object. So I go where? I'm going to the library. But this part right here, this subordinating conjunction, when, or it's almost conditional, suggests that, or implies that there's another component to the sentence, which is missing here, right? So would we consider it dependent or independent? So when I go to the library, that's the sentence. Is it a complete thought? Not quite, because here, again, it's implied that additional information is going to be forthcoming, which is not provided. Therefore, this is considered dependent. So I'm just going to mark it with a big D for number one, right? And for sentence number two, and of course you can complete that using another clause, for instance, when I go to the library, and then I would erase that period, comma, you can include I read or I study or I enjoy my time there, or however you want to phrase it. You would, of course, want to append that additional clause to complete your thought. All right, sentence number two, because, subordinating conjunction, it's kind of your clue. I, being the subject, like to learn about famous people. Okay, let's look at that again because I need you to tell me, is it dependent or independent? So because I like to learn about famous people. Well, here I start with a subordinating conjunction, which I do not suggest you do. Grammatically speaking, it's considered improper. This assumes that there's an idea prior to it, like this is almost a continuation or a link between this clause and the one before it. So assuming that these are meant to be read together, right? So when I go to the library, second sentence, because I like to learn about famous people. So even with the inclusion of that initial sentence or that original clause, these two wouldn't link together. And I know that this implies that something has come before it, which I'm not seeing here, which leads me to believe that this sentence is dependent on another thought or another clause to complete it, right? All right, sentence number three. Most of my friends prefer fiction. All right, so most of my friends prefer fiction. Is this a dependent or independent clause? Is it a complete thought? This, in just examining it, tells me that it is a complete thought, right? I'm telling you, it's a statement. Most of my friends prefer fiction. The object of the action prefer is fiction. I'm talking about most of my friends. Okay, I've got a complete thought. So I'm good. This one is an independent clause. It can stand on its own. And then sentence number four, although I enjoy fiction. Again, I'm making a statement. I'm sharing some information. However, if I were to eliminate the subordinating conjunction, although at the beginning, it would read, I enjoy fiction, which would be considered a complete thought or an independent clause. However, by including the addition of this subordinating conjunction, although, it becomes dependent on the sentence prior or one following to complete it. So here, this fourth sentence is dependent. Okie dokie. Hopefully you found this exercise. I'll just step out of the way so you can see them. Hopefully you found this exercise helpful. Of course, if you found any value in this video, I would appreciate a like. And if you haven't already, I would appreciate you subscribing if you'd like to continue exercises such as these to kind of practice your English skills. But beyond that, I think we are good to go. And I look forward to working with you in the next one.